Hey everybody, welcome to Hear Us Out. I am Patrick, that's Jet the little cat, and Paul is still away on special assignment, so you're still stuck with me. But guess what? Yeah, I'm going to be cheeky. I'm going to mix some movies and my other passion, which is cars, and we're going to do a Rushmore episode. What's a Rushmore episode? It's where we pick the top four whatever things that have personal significance to us, and we talk about why we would put those things on our Mount Rushmore. We do directors, sci-fi movies, whatever you could think of ranking your top four personal favorite or what you think are the most significant. Well, like I said, Paul's away, so I'm going to be cheeky and I am going to do a Rushmore of movie cars.
Yeah, good job!
Yeah, that's right. I could be in trouble here with two different communities. I love that the entertainment, TV, and movie community don't always agree with me. That's why I enjoy reading the comments so much. But there's a whole other level when you annoy car nerds. Hello, car nerds. I'm one of you also. And a lot of people are very, very precious about their cars in movies. So what I've tried to do, to be fair to this, the way I'm going to break down is I'm actually going to do four categories. And the categories I'm going to look at um, are similar but distinctly different. So I think what I'm going to start off with is an easy one. My first spot on Mount Rushmore, my first of the four, is going to be cars as companions. So movies where the car in question is a companion or is really part of the not as much, it can be part of the plot, but it's part of the set. It's part of the location. It's where a lot of things will happen. It's also invaluable to the main character. It's a specific vehicle that's valuable to the main character for a specific purpose. Great example of that, and it's an easy first one to give. And this is not my pick. I'm going to give the examples and then give my pick at the end. It's and I got to make sure I get this right. It's a Ford Falcon XB for my Australian friends. A lot of the rest of the world did not get Ford Falcons, but they had a '73 Ford Falcon in Mad Max. Yes, that's right. The original, and then the Road Warrior, and then all the way on to Fury Road. The Falcon showed up all over the place. I think it's just a cool car. Now, why is it important to the character? Obviously, when Mel Gibson is introduced to the last of the Wyatt Interceptors, hopefully I'll find a clip of that.
Gonna hand it to you, Treasure. The last of the V8 Interceptors.
It is the stallion that his particular Roy Rogers rides. So that's the horse for battle for Mad Max. But then as the movies go on, because George Miller obviously had this was the 70s. A lot of people don't remember there was a huge gas crisis in the 70s in the US and in worldwide news. So you had the idea of a big, thirsty V8 engine being, wasteful or difficult to live with. And then you have the end of the world in Mad Max, where gasoline is gold, that lovely liquid gold, which is something the franchise never really left after the second movie. Even Tina Turner was into into energy in the third movie. Anybody who hasn't seen Mad Max Welcome to Thunderdome, please do. Don't care what anybody's told you. It's way more fun than it should be. It's brilliant. But the Ford Falcon, with its silly rake and its either, depending on whether it's the one with all the exhaust, without the exhaust, always that big, steampunk, pre-steampunk idea of you have a supercharger just bursting out of the hood, ready to whine away and spool up for power. It really was. It was icon to match Mad Max. So when people think Mad Max, they think, the rough guy, the leather, the car. So that's a good example of what I mean by cars as companions. Another really good example of that is Transporter. So Jason Statham's kind of really, I'm going to just go ahead and say it was his breakout action franchise for him. A lot of people have forgotten it now, but there were multiple Transporter films with Jason Statham and then without. And he started off in a BMW 7 Series. Nice big luxury, bit of luxury cruising, but also he took it very seriously. Much as he liked his suits pressed and cleaned, he liked his car very specifically. And he had kind of a James Bond vibe with his BMW. Much like James Bond, he didn't stay loyal to the brand, because in later Transporter movies, he went from a BMW 7 Series to an Audi I think it was an A8, possibly an S8 at one point. I'm not too sure. I'd have to go back and watch all the films, but I remember it being the nice big. I think it was a long wheelbase A8. Again, this is his companion. This is part of I Transport. And I can't do a Jason Statham, but I'm sorry right now, but I'm trying to do you. Eyebrow and all, over the shoulder look of like, oh, I'm gonna punch it. He was proud of his car. It was part of his business. He lived by rules. His car was part of that infrastructure for him. So really, it was a car as a companion. But the one I'm picking, and there are many, many others, and some of them will come up in other categories because almost every car in movies can fit into more than one. My pick is going to be pretty obvious. If you look behind me, you're going to see one Burt Reynolds as the Bandit, because the Pontiac Trans Am, which is the Bandit car to a lot of people, it is the big screaming chicken on the front of it, the nice big Firebird. It's iconic, black and gold, gorgeous, brilliant. Made everything about the first two movies, and particularly the first movie, work. But it really was a location, because the entire plot of the film was bootleg and alcohol. There was a truck and a car, and the Bandit was cool because he had this showy car. It was one of those times where he's going to do what he does best: show off. The car quite literally had to be showy. It had to be eye catching. It had to be flamboyant with those lovely, snowflake wheels, gold and black, and just so perfect for somebody who's being ostentatious and who is their entire job is to attract the police so they don't pull over the truck full of illegal Coors beer, which was crossing state lines for a bet. I'm describing the whole movie. Quite literally, that's it. Just add in Sally Field being charming as all hell, and Jackie Gleason really being Jackie Gleason. But the pure rebel attitude that was given to the Bandit and the car, they're inextricable. Like, if you hadn't used something as flashy or as eye catching or as just plain kind of I'm gonna just please nobody be insulted by this. It wasn't a Ferrari flashy. It's working class flashy. I could conceivably drive a Trans Am and maybe not look out of place. But you put me in a very high end exotic Italian car, sports car. Yes, it'll be flashy, but I'll look like a pretender. So yeah, good old boys bootlegging beer. It was a perfect choice, with so many lovely scenes that were shot specifically of the Bandit and the car, the conversations between Burt Reynolds and Sally Field, obviously falling in love in real life at the same time. It's just stunningly fantastic. So my first pick for my Mount Rushmore of movie cars is the 1977 Pontiac Trans Am.
Do what I do best.
What's that?
Show off.
Now we go on to cars as characters. So this is where the car itself is a character in the movies. People give out to me all the time for not giving animation its fair shake on this channel. Paul's very good at that. I'm going to go ahead and say Cars is a good example. That's right, Pixar's Cars. Nobody thought I'd be including that here. Lightning McQueen, Ka-chow. Lightning and all Mater and everybody else, they're literally characters. In that case, they're literally the entire film's characters. But Transformers is another good example of what I mean by characters that actually are the cars. So this is where cars are imbued with a character all of their own. In the case of Transformers, again, they are literal characters. I think the other best example is probably Herbie. From the Love Bug or Herbie Goes Bananas, or then the later Lindsay Lohan movies. That's where, even without speaking, the Herbie, the little beetle, or as it was called in America, the VW Bug, was given a full character to be part of the movie, to be part of scenes, having an interaction, but having its own mind. But I'm not picking any of those, because there's only one car when I think of cars as the characters. And no, folks, it's not going to be something like the car which is a horror kind of a dark thing, or The Wraith, which is really Charlie Sheen in a I think it was an experimental Dodge, if I remember right. Or when I say experimental, concept cars, folks, things that they make out of plastic to show off at car shows. There's only one choice, though. Anybody who's seen it will agree. Christine. It was 1958, I think, or 57. It's a Plymouth Fury. Such a great movie from as far as Stephen King adaptations go. I think it's a great one. A lot of people don't agree, but I'll give you the plot really, really quickly. If you've never seen Christine, it is literally a possessed car. It is a cool two-door hardtop that a young kid finds, fixes up, makes it his own. This is going to be his freedom. There's some allegories for being led astray in your adolescence, because the car is a malevolent, pretty bad force, and starts getting very possessive of him, and then starts bringing out bad sides in him, and the car starts killing people. And it is a really cool scene. If you've never seen the movie, I'm sorry, I'm going to spoil it for you now. There is a great uncrushing of the car scene, which, if you ever look at behind the scenes how they did it, is truly incredible. Because everybody assumes they just crushed the car and played it in reverse. No, they didn't. Yeah, I know. Anybody who's seen Christine is like, what? I know, watch it again. But there's a character, because you're with the kid, the main human character, you're with him, but really you're always keeping an eye on Christine, because you know that's where the ooh, that's where the creepy's coming. When's it all going to go wrong? Oh, Christine is getting retribution for him to people who are not nice, which is like, oh, okay, bad people getting their comeuppance. Maybe that's okay. But then you start seeing the evil, the dark, the awful influence. The awful influence of the automobile and freedom on young people. That's only one way to read it, folks. No, I think it's a great movie car. Also, I just really dig it. All the cars, I love Volkswagen Beetles. Love you, my Herbie folks out there. I used to race a car with a VW engine in it. I absolutely adore all the different Camaros, etc. that Bumblebee was. Bumblebee, again, was originally a Beetle. I know I'm showing my age. And the Cars movies. Okay, whatever. I know people love them. I'm so sorry about being mean about cars. Just wasn't for me. But Christine, that's proper car as a character. Aside from getting up and having a full conversation like a Transformer does, Christine gave a really, really good account of a car as a character in a movie. So that's my Mount Rushmore pick. The next category I'm going to go for is cars as plot devices. What do we mean by that? Again, I'll get into examples. Things that you can't have the movie without them as the plot device. Easiest example is Eleanor, the Mustang in A New Pick Your Generation of, the original or the Nicolas Cage, Angelina Jolie remake of Gone in 60 Seconds. Maybe one of the more famous modern cars for a whole generation of people who watched that movie and were like, ooh, Eleanor's the dream. Whereas there were much more impressive cars. And I love Mustangs, but there were many more impressive cars in that movie. I think a lot of people miss the fact that it was a special car to the main character, not just that it's a special car. Also, a little bit of side trivia, as we like to do on this channel. Not necessarily to do with the movie, this time to do with legality around movies. And that's right, people who tried to make Eleanor replicas were getting sued by the people who owned the license for that. So how crazy is that? The world is a small and scary place. Which I don't mind if it's business, but there were a few, single people, husband and wife teams making their dream replica, and they got in trouble. And that's just not cool. Gone in 60 Seconds. Fun film, folks. You will not hear me say bad things about it. I think Delroy Lindo was in that too, wasn't he? It's just fun, stupid. And the original is actually really quite good if anybody wants to go back and watch it. But Eleanor's a great example of cars as a plot device. So you have a need to steal cars, and then the main character, Reno Reigns, wasn't it? His obsession with the Eleanor, the one that got away. Other good examples. Let's see. Fast and the Furious. All the cars in Fast and the Furious are good examples of plot devices because it's that's what Fast and the Furious is. It's about cars. A lot of people go, "Oh no," but like you've got the hero cars of the Supra or the Skyline or the Eclipse or the Lancer or whatever it might be. No, like Fast and Furious. I'm just calling it all out as an example of. Someday, if anybody wants to write in the comments, if I can get 5 people who say they want to see on this channel a Fast and the Furious cars ranking to do with movies, then I'd do it. Otherwise, I can't turn this into a car channel. It's a movie channel. Um, I think Cannonball Run, one of my favorite movies of all time, and obviously, if I was just picking from my heart, the black Lamborghini Countach would be straight away my first pick of most iconic movie car of all time. Because for me, it was, and it always will be. Black Lamborghini in the Nevada sunshine or wherever they shot that. That's just life changing for me. Scissors doors, all the good stuff. But again, just so many movies that cars in general, or so many cars in that movie that in general the race was the plot device. Race from one side of the country to the other. I can't talk about movie cars without talking about the minis of the Italian Job. And I am particularly talking about the first Italian Job, not to throw shade on the second Italian Job, which, by the way, hat tip, another Jason Statham moment, and this time a BMW 850 or 840 CSI, whatever it might have been, which, you never see those in movies. You see those in Prince music videos. I'm really, really glad that it finally made it into a movie. But no, when I think of minis for Italian Job, or when I think of iconic movie cars, the 3 little minis in the red, white, and blue, representing the Union Jack. Funny if they shot the film in France, it would have been confusing. But no, in Italy, they're doing a heist, and in crazy traffic, what do you need? You need Alec Isagonis's tiny design. You need the little mini, which somehow still move quite quickly, even though they're supposed to be carrying tons of gold each. Doesn't matter. So much fun, and such a great way to show Turin all of their set pieces that didn't make sense that people point out to me. I'm like, do you not get it? I'm not defending this from a car person point of view. I'm defending this from a movie point of view. There were beautiful locations. They used roofs, they used steps outside chapels. The use of the minis was great, but the use of Bella Italia, beautiful Italy, was absolutely there. But I'm not able to pick that as a plot device because there's one that's way, way, way more iconic. The DeLorean. DMC-12, everybody. DeLorean, the time machine. The first stainless steel angular vehicle before our friend Elon decided to give it a go. He didn't learn from John DeLorean's mistakes. The DeLorean is a cool car. For movie people out there, I want to tell you, it's still cool. All car people know that it's also a heap of trash as far as engine and gearbox and actual living with and driving experience. But it's still undeniably cool. Like, it is brilliant. As part of a movie, the Back to the Future trilogy is brilliant. Movie people, you know this. Could you imagine a better car? Because I couldn't. Originally, I think it was going to be a Ford Mustang, if I remember. But was it Zemeckis or somebody else says Marty McFly doesn't drive a Mustang? The DeLorean, so cool, so strange, so futuristic. Trying to tie in a bit of pseudoscience around the time machine and, doing it with style, as Doc Brown said, but also the stainless steel body helps with time travel, which it freezes the first time it ever time travels and then never freezes again. Plot holes aplenty in Back to the Future. But I love it. I think everybody loves it. I don't think there's anybody. I love going to car shows and hanging around car meets and stuff and car people. But I also love doing movie stuff and even going to Comic-Con. The one thing you will find at all of these crosses so many interests is a DeLorean. The DeLorean is fan favorite everywhere. And I think as a plot device, you can't have time travel without the time machine. You couldn't have some of the great jokes about a DeLorean being kind of crummy and, breaking down and not starting for Marty. Like, the DeLorean played its part, not just as the time machine, which could have been a telephone box or a refrigerator, um, but once they decided to go with a car, it played such a great role as a car, as something that could look like a spaceship. As anybody who remembers the cover of Mysterious Stories or whatever it was in Back to the Future one. So yeah, I love a DeLorean. Someday I would can still consider owning a DeLorean, and just turning it into an electric car. I know, sacrilege. But how cool was that car the first time you ever saw that movie? Again, comments down below if DeLorean is your number one pick, because I think it's going to be very popular. Now, last category, cars that make characters cool. This is the vast majority of what cars are in movies for, at least interesting cars are in movies for. They can be a plot device to get you from one place to another. They can be something that's stolen. They can be the Eleanor, the apple of your eye. They can be a time machine. They can be the thing that you show off in while running interference for your bootlegging friend. But cars that make characters cool, very simple. John Wick. If anybody remembers watching that film, there's two things that happen. Yeah, really get on John Wick's side because you love that puppy, because that puppy was perfect. But then after you realize he's a stone cold killer, he's in good suits and has a really cool car. It's just that simple. It helps increase cool factor. The Batmobile is a good example of an extension of a character. You know, you got Batarangs and the Bat Belt and the Bat credit card at one point. Less said about that, the better. The Bat copter, the Bat boat, the Bat submarine, the Bat everything. But the Batmobile is iconic because from the Lincoln Futura in the TV show all the way through Tumblers and beyond, there have been some really cool Batmobiles, and they just make the character cooler. It's like cool character, cool car. I'm gonna also quick shout out to my little friend Ecto One over here. Um, the converted ambulance essentially, which is what that Cadillac was, that the Ghostbusters use. Again, they were misfits that were becoming cooler and cooler as the film went on. It's a hilarious film. I love Ghostbusters. But when you hear that, like, wah, wah, siren, I think everybody has a soft spot for Ecto One. It's like the Ghostbusters cool mobile. It makes them cooler and they make it cool. Other good examples, well, there's the Mustang and Bullet. Again, both Mustangs for John Wick and in Bullet. Mustangs show up in a lot of places, actually, because it's a cool car. Oh yeah, little note, because I better move on with this, because I got a lot to say in a very short space of time about the last example I'm going to give before I make my pick, and that's James Bond. James Bond is associated with gadgets. He's associated with a certain level of misogyny, but international man of mystery, all sorts of stuff. James Bond is also associated with cool cars. Great, brilliant. Ask anybody what their favorite Bond car is, and a fight will break out. That's both movie and car community, because a lot of people are like, "Oh, it has to be the Aston Martin DB5, the original, gadget car, the one. It has to be that." Then, depending on your generation, it'll be like, "Oh no, it's going to be, it's going to be a Lotus, or it'll be the Aston Martin Vantage that Timothy Dalton drove. It was the Living Daylights. The Aston Martin that actually looks like a Mustang. Funny enough, now that we're talking about Mustangs." There's AMCs, there's Mustangs that were driving on two wheels one way into a gap in Las Vegas and out on two different wheels because of a bit of a continuity mistake I think that was Diamonds Are Forever. You got bridge jumps, and it was an AMC Hornet, I think, upside down bridge jump. Anybody knows the big twisty jump? You ready? I sure am. All of those cool things made Bond was cool. That was the entire purpose of the James Bond character in those movies. Sean Connery, Roger Moore, they were all trying to be cool in different ways. The cars made Bond cooler. Now, my favorite Bond car, Lotus Esprit S3. And that'll be on screen, and everybody will be like, "Oh no, that's not the one I'm thinking of." I know. There's two of these in a film. One of them blows up. A white one blows up because it's got the worst security system ever. If you try and break into it, it blows up and kills everybody within a, I hope I can find a clip of that for you, 500-foot radius. But then there's just a cool kind of bronze and reddish colored one with ski rack. That's just because I want one of those in real life. The Lotus you were all thinking of is the pick. It has to be. If Bond is gadgets and his cars are an extension of gadgets, the greatest gadget is having a Lotus Esprit Series 1, that S1, that beautiful of the angular design, turning into a submarine. Like nothing short of mind blown. First time I watched that as a kid, I think my mind melted out through my nose. And I've watched that like so many people. I've watched it so many times. And the charm of driving out of the water. It is maybe as car sequences go. Like I know we've got the cool chase in Ronin, and we've got amazing stuff in Drive. You've got so many great car sequences to talk about, especially chase and stunt sequences. But considering it's not really a car that's the submarine, but you buy into it so much because of the previous chase around the mountain with the helicopter, and then driving out of the beach, I think the Lotus Esprit in that was The Spy Who Loved Me. Is the ultimate Bond car, therefore making it the ultimate car that makes characters cool. So that's the last pick. This is a super long video. I am going to try and edit it down. It's still going to be too long. If you've stayed this long, I'd love you to like, subscribe, and share. But really, I want you to get down in the comments. Let me know if you want me to do this again for TV show cars. Because remember, I'm not doing car stuff in this channel. I'm doing entertainment stuff with car adjacent information. So bear that in mind. But I need lots of comments, lots of thumbs up, lots of likes in this video for me to consider doing more. But whatever happens, I want you all to take care of yourselves. And if you're hitting the road out there, folks, stay safe. Keep the rubber on the floor, the sunroof to the sky. I don't know what I'm saying. Jet can't say goodbye. I've started rhyming. I've been Patrick. This has been Hear Us Out. See you next time. Bye.